All right, good evening, treasure seekers. We are so pleased to welcome jewelry designer and illustrator Angie Marei to the podcast tonight. Angie is a New York-based artist out of Brooklyn and has designed bespoke jewelry pieces for some of the biggest names in entertainment, including Beyonce, Rihanna, Alicia Keys, Zendaya, Taraji P. Henson, and Billy Porter. As you all know, Angie's designed the beautiful pair of ruby earrings that are featured in Chapter 6 of Jon Collins-Black's There's Treasure Inside, and will be found in one of the treasure boxes that has been hidden in the United States. Angie, thanks again for joining us. We're super excited to be able to chat with you tonight.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here with you guys.
Thanks. Is it okay if we just dive right into questions with you?
Good.
All right. So talk to us a little bit about your background and how you actually came into becoming a jewelry designer.
Okay. So I've always been like the weird artsy kid. I always like made stuff out of boxes and garbage and whatever I would find. I ended up going to art school. I went to Pratt Institute. I studied communications design. So it was like graphic design with a concentration in advertising. Studied sculpture, illustration, art history, architecture. It was amazing. I had so much fun. I ended up working in advertising as an art director and then creative director for many years because I'm old. then I met this girl at work, and she had this really pretty set, like a matching set of jewelry, and I asked her where she got it from because I didn't really see that many people wearing matching sets, and she told me she was at a fine jewelry school. So that piqued my interest. I joined the fine jewelry school where I studied with master jewelers. And one in particular thought that I had some talent. So he convinced me to take jewelry making seriously. So I ended up getting laid off from my job. So I had some extra time on my hands. And so I went to the jewelry school full-time for a while. And I learned fine jewelry making, goldsmithing, silversmithing, learned about gemstones and diamonds. And then I became really obsessed with it. So it went from a hobby to a sick obsession. And I couldn't stop. So I would wake up in the middle of the night and, I had a sketch pad next to me and I had to draw whatever came to me in my dreams. So at that point, I realized I probably found my calling because I didn't feel that way about any other types of art forms. So I started making more pieces, and this was all while having a child and a full-time job because I went back to work. It started as my passion project, and I stayed at home for a bit with my son, and while I stayed with him at home, I decided to build a brand. So I used my experience in advertising and creative direction and working for other luxury brands. I put that into my other baby and developed this brand over, 13 years now.
Wow.
And during COVID, I started making more engagement rings and more fine jewelry. Sotheby's invited me to do an exhibition with them, Brilliant in Black exhibition, and that is how Jon found me.
Wow. That's so cool. So it brings about, I have two comments. One, you're kind of kindred spirits with Bryn because she has been waking up in the middle of the night and writing down her notes on thoughts about the treasure hunt that are happening.
The treasure hunt.
Well, that's how it starts, you start dreaming about these things and you start feeling crazy, but you're not. It's just like, well, maybe that's your calling.
I'm laughing because so much of what you're saying is like really resonating with me, because I also went to school and got my degree in communications, advertising, design. And I also just got laid off from my job a few months ago. However, maybe my calling has now been this treasure hunt, whereas yours was much more fruitful and productive in creating a brand for yourself. So I'm taking notes.
I honestly think getting laid off was a blessing. I mean, I cried for 2 weeks. I was so sad. I felt humiliated. But then I went on this journey. So I feel like maybe, things happen for a reason. You don't always understand why, but maybe this is the beginning of something bigger for you.
There will be a next door to open. Yeah.
For sure. Can't wait.
So you've designed jewelry for some of the biggest names in entertainment. How did some of these interactions come about? And is there a certain method that you use for creating custom jewelry for these big names, or is every process for some of these bespoke pieces unique?
I don't. Let me see. How do I start this?
Yeah, sorry.
First question, I'll answer that. Usually, the celebrity stylists will find me, right? So they started finding me on Instagram. I had this ring that I made. I have like a smaller version of it on right now. It's this one with the horns.
Wow.
So I have this bigger one. It's called the Damien Black Onyx Horn Talisman Ring. And it has these big black onyx horns. And I made this ring. It was inspired by Nefertiti headdress. I'm half Egyptian, so a lot of my inspiration comes from Egypt. So I made this ring. It's a very bold ring. And I didn't think people were going to like it, but it ended up being like this crazy ring that everybody loved. So once I started posting pictures of it, I had editors of magazines wanting to feature the ring, and then celebrity stylists. They were asking if they can get the ring for photo shoots or for their celebrities that they were working with. So that's how, it started snowballing slowly after that. I worked with Beyonce's stylist, Zarina. So, she had, I think, a few of those black onyx rings, as well as some other pieces. Same thing with Rihanna. They used it for a photo shoot for W magazine, I believe. So, with all the celebrities, it's usually their stylists or their personal shoppers would approach me to create either something custom or, a piece that I already had made. And then what was the other question that you asked me? I'm sorry, there were like...
There was a couple. The second one was if there's a certain method that you use for creating bespoke jewelry for some of these big name clients, or for anybody that's looking for a custom piece of jewelry.
I would say typically I try to get to know my client. If I can meet them in person, that's great. They'll come into my studio and we just chat. They usually stay a lot longer because I have a really nice, cozy studio. And I like talking. But, I try to ask them questions, and it just turns into like a natural conversation, like two friends getting to know each other. Then I kind of like try to tap into their energy, right? So even if I'm talking to them on the phone, or, if they live far away or in a different country, we'll do like video chat. But I try to get a personal sense of them, their lifestyle, their interests. I'll ask about like their birthdays, and it always turns into this really nice open conversation. And then I kind of just like meditate on them. Like literally I'll meditate or sleep, and then I dream about it. Sometimes it comes to me like in the shower or when I'm at the gym. I usually carry a little sketchbook in my fanny pack that I bring with me at the gym or on a run. I like to be outside. So I'll just like, marinate on who I'm designing for. And I kind of just like I try to tap into like their spirit. Like I had one client, I didn't know that he loved flowers, but I designed something for him that was inspired by an orchid opening. And he was like, "Oh, that's so cool that you thought of this. I have a collection of over 100 orchid species." And I was like, "What?"
Wow.
So I do have some psychic abilities, and sometimes I can tap into that. Sometimes it's just a nice conversation with someone and they can tell me a really personal story in the conversation that will inspire the people. A lot of times I have like really amazing women that come to me who are going through a new phase in their life. And I'll design a piece that kind of commemorates their personal story and, just like rising above adversity or hardships or whatever, and just like turning this experience into something beautiful and meaningful for them.
Yeah, that's super helpful perspective in that how much thinking, even if it's just in the background, right, is going into each of these pieces. That's
always in the background. I think, sometimes I have time constraints. And I'm like, oh my God, the idea hasn't come to me yet. And then in the most random moment, sometimes I have to like pull over if I'm driving. I'm like, oh my God, I see it now. And then I have to, draw it. But I don't know when it's going to come. It just comes.
Okay. Super cool.
Yeah, it's really amazing because it puts into perspective, like, even if you're not consciously thinking about it in that moment, like your subconscious is just like always trying to figure solution is, which is really remarkable.
It's fun.
All right, so one of our big questions is if you are currently following Jon Collins-Black's There's Treasure Inside treasure hunt. You are discussed specifically in chapter 6, Rubies to Wear, Inspiration is Welcome. Where do you get your inspiration from in life and your profession? So 2 questions there. Are you following the treasure hunt?
So I just started following the treasure hunt because I have people calling me.
Okay.
Asking me if I have clues.
Uh-oh. Okay.
I don't think I have clues, but I welcome people asking me questions because maybe I have a clue. I don't know. I didn't know how big it was going to blow up. I did see it, like my mom was watching her Spanish news and it popped up on like, I don't know, it was like some morning show.
Really?
Spanish.
Awesome.
I was like, oh my God, that's Jon's book. So I just started following. I just got the book. It's beautiful. I have right here. Congratulations.
Nice.
So I'm going to begin my journey. I have to read it. I just kind of skimmed through it today. I just received it in the mail a couple of days ago. Wait, what was the other question?
Yeah, you are featured heavily in the chapter Rubies to Wear, Inspiration is Welcome. So where do you get your inspiration, both in life and in your profession?
Okay. So I guess the root of my inspiration comes from my heritage. I'm half Dominican, half Egyptian. I grew up in New York City, but, my community was very immigrant-based, very Egyptian. I've been to Egypt when I was little, and just really grew up around a lot of cultures. Same with Dominican culture as well. When I first started designing jewelry, I was first intrigued by medieval style jewelry, like skulls and gemstones and stuff. But then as I got better at my craft and started developing a style, it was looking more Egyptian. And I was like, oh, this makes sense. So for me, I felt like my ancestors were like speaking through me, because it wasn't really, it was subconscious. Like I wasn't looking for inspiration. I was just kind of seeing visions in my head and trying to bring them to life. But now I do take a lot of inspiration from ancient Egypt, ancient Egyptian art. I take inspiration from like mysticism, deities, African deities. There are all kinds of like spiritual deities. My family, they collected a lot of gold jewelry as well. So I grew up with not so much gemstones, but a lot of gold jewelry from Egypt. So a lot of the inspiration does come from some of the Egyptian jewelry that I was like gifted as a child, or like, you know, for special occasions. So I think that's kind of where it started. There were pieces that I have that I would look at and I'm like, well, I would kind of design it a little bit more modern and edgier to make it more like New York cool, but, you know, still have a bit of like this Egyptian flavor. So I think also being a New Yorker, that inspired me too. If you look at my jewelry, a lot of them look like beautiful weapons. They're very sharp. And it's because, you know, I went out a lot, like when I was a teenager, young adult. Like I would go out clubbing, go out partying, and just always out. And my mom would always tell me to bring something like, you know, a secret weapon for protection, because like New York was crazy. So I always had like keys in my hand if I was like walking home, or just something sharp if I had to go into attack mode all of a sudden. So a lot of like the first pieces that I made, they were supposed to be like beautiful pieces of jewelry, you know, so instead of wearing brass knuckles, it's like, oh, you can wear this like beautiful ring. It doesn't look like brass knuckles, but you know, people will be scared if you bust it out. Mm-hmm. You know, so like as a young woman taking the train home, and these are things you have to think about growing up in New York as a young lady. You know, you have to think about like protecting yourself. So you'll see that weaved into my pieces, right? So there's, you know, stories of like spiritual stuff, and, you know, the rising phoenix, which is what inspired earrings that I made for Jon's book or his treasure hunt. But a lot of it is like, you know, this inner fierceness that women have. So I tried to translate that into jewelry. Also, you know, becoming a mother, overcoming, you know, hardships and divorce and all this stuff, that goes into my work too. You know, I feel like everybody has challenges that they've overcome or are overcoming, and I want people to feel empowered and powerful when they wear my jewelry.
That is a very excellent description of a lot of background. That's super interesting. I love the New York connection and everything that you described there. It's a lot going into it, I guess, is the very short answer.
Yes.
Well, it's really cool too to like hear your description of what you want to create, and then to look at your pieces. It's like, well, that's exactly what she was trying to make. Like it's just like totally interwoven together. And so to bring your vision so perfectly to life is really, really cool.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, let's get into the gritty details here. So we believe that we have found a solid clue having to do with the butterfly icon that's located on the copyright page of this book. There's treasure inside.
What's that?
Yeah, just right at the beginning of the book, the copyright page. It's around page 9 or so, but it's very, you don't have to worry about looking at it right now. We've translated it into a butterfly. And connected to the butterfly, we also have found a lot of connections to flight or flying and even space in the book. So we're wondering if you could discuss the process that you and Jon specifically had for designing the ruby earrings that are part of this treasure hunt. Did Jon request that you design something related to flight or wings specifically, or did you conceive of this design independently?
So initially, Jon reached out and he was looking for a one-of-a-kind piece of jewelry using rubies.
Okay.
So we focused on sourcing rubies, different shapes, sizes, colors. It wasn't really a specific theme yet. But then he sent me a picture of these earrings that I have. They're called the Isadora earrings, and they kind of look like wings that crawl up the ears. So they're like ear collar earrings. He really liked those earrings, and he said if I could use those as inspiration, but to create something unique and one of a kind. And at that point, I was... Oh, you're sharing your screen.
Yeah,
okay.
I will pull up the... sorry, 1 second.
No, that's okay.
So yeah, here is some of the sketches that you've sent over. Looking at it looks like pretty final designs almost. Is this like the first draft of the sketch based on the Isadora design that Jon had seen?
I feel like this was like one of those things that the idea, I just saw it and I was like, okay, I know what I'm going to do.
Okay.
I don't know how many iterations I did of this particular design, but I wanted the earrings to kind of look like wings, like a phoenix rising out of the ashes. It could also look like a butterfly as well. So, it takes elements of the Isadora earrings that I made, but these earrings are more ornate and I would say fiery. Like they look like flames.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely see the Phoenix connection based on the use of rubies here and kind of the sharp edges here, like you're saying. And here I have the picture of how they're represented in the book as well.
Yes, I love these earrings. The back, so I plated them with black rhodium. That's why they look black, but they're made in 18 karat gold.
Oh, wow.
With rubies from Burma, which he mentions in his book as well.
Right. Okay, so it sounds like it was pretty organic in terms of he didn't specifically recommend anything about flight or wings. He obviously was inspired by another piece of your jewelry, the Isadora design. So we will do some research on that and see what the starting point was.
Maybe there's a clue there.
maybe that's what we're trying to suss out. But yeah, he wasn't descriptive about anything having to do with wings or anything like that. It seems like, is that true? As far as you can remember.
I don't think he was specific on that, because I think initially he wanted a ring.
Oh, interesting.
Oh.
Yeah. So I feel like at first it started out with discussions about a ring with a very large ruby center. But I don't think he specifically said wings. I think it was something I was personally going through at that time, and I was like, I want to make, like a phoenix, like piece. I feel like he was very open to ideas, and he was was lovely to work with. He was just like very easygoing, and when he told us it was for a book, I was like, are we getting catfished? But yeah, he was, I think, one of my favorite people to work with. He was just like such a nice person to talk to. I think we spoke to him on the phone. Me and my colleague, Megan, we spoke to him on the phone and then on FaceTime a couple of times.
Okay.
But I don't think he gave me wings as a brief.
Okay. That's super helpful.
Sorry if you already mentioned this, but I didn't catch it if you did. I think people may be interested to know when he first approached you, like what year that was, how long ago that was.
Oh, I think it was 2022.
Okay.
It was 2022. I think I finished them sometime in the fall. I don't know. Probably my emails. I don't remember exactly when he reached out, but it was a few years ago.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a clue.
Well, there's certainly a lot of people trying to put the timeline together of exactly when he started writing the book, when he started collecting the treasure items, and when he ended up hiding the treasures around the U.S. So any sort of insider information that you have, which it sounds like you do, 2022 timeframe, that does line up pretty well with what I think the general audience is thinking. So that's super helpful.
So I'm happy to help with any clues.
Oh yeah.
He originally emailed. It was February. Oh, look at this. February 10th, 2022 at 2:10 p.m.
All right.
So maybe there's a clue with the 2/10/2022.
She has the receipts.
February 10th at 2:10 p.m.
All right. That's
2022.
very interesting.
There's a lot of repeating numbers there.
Numerology there. Yep.
Yep.
Thank goodness your earrings are not on page 210. Then we would really be in trouble.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think he inquired about ruby and black gold, and there was a ring with a red garnet. So, he was asking if I could make the Oceania ring that I have with a ruby. So that was the initial question.
Okay.
Right? So he was looking for a ring at first. But then he also mentioned that he liked the style of those earrings.
Okay. All right. This is
that's really interesting.
Supremely helpful. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good luck, everybody.
All right. So I've got one final question. Cody or Bryn, do you guys have any follow-up questions? Good follow-up, Cody, by the way.
No, my follow-up comment is, as like the more and more I look at the picture of these earrings, like I just cannot picture. It's just so intricate and detailed. Like I picture my shaky hands trying to do this work. It's just amazing that it's so detailed. Beautiful.
So what's on my mind is, if we find the box with the earrings in it, which one of us is going to get to wear them?
Oh.
All right. Well, thanks for your time, Angie. If the audience wants to learn more about your work and see more of your wonderful designs, what's the easiest way to find out more about your work?
They can go on my website. It's mareiNewYork.com. Marei, New York spelled out.com. Or they can email me as well.
All right. Awesome. So yeah, we're going to be coming together to see if we can't figure out what we want designed now. So not that we have the deep pockets for it, but I'm sure there's something I kind of want to weapon myself. So
We do like a nice pendant. I feel like a pendant would be cool, necklace.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
All we have to do.
Behind you. What is? Do you collect gemstones and dots? Like, what's going on back there?
I have my gemstone poster back there, but it's just a generic one. I'm not really a geologist or anything like that, but just for beautification of my office space.
Okay, I feel like I should have that.
All right. Well, we really appreciate your time, Angie.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you all. This was awesome, and good luck.
Thanks. Yeah. If after you go through the book a couple times, like, feel free to reach out, and we're happy to compare notes with you. Yeah.
I will. Oh.
Will do. Thank you. All right.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye.
Have a great night.
Take care.